Hi everyone, welcome to our class story for today. We are currently reading Wallace and Gromit, A Matter of Loaf and Depth. For those who haven't read Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, you will find it on the class page on the website, or if you go back on the dojo, there is copies there. For today, I'm going to put my voice recording reading it for you, so you could either read along, or you can just listen, or if you don't have time to listen to me, you can obviously read it on your own as well, just using the normal version of the website. Okay, so today we are up to chapter 3, which is called Crocs Away. We've been introduced to our main characters. There's a third character who came into the story yesterday. I think she's going to figure going now on as well, alongside Wallace and Gromit. She's called the Baker-like Girl. So, let's start chapter 3 reading, and it's called Crocs Away. I can see there's a little picture of Wallace there carrying some of his bread. I'm not sure if that's going to give us any clues about the title, the chapter or not. I think Crocs Away might give us a few clues. I'm thinking crocodiles because I know that they just whizzed through the zoo gate at the end or the start of this chapter. Okay, the bike whizzed through the zoo gates with Wallace the Baker-like Girl and the poodle all clutching on tightly. Its front wheels smashed into the wall of the crocodile pit, and all three of them were propelled over the handlebars towards the waiting reptiles. Wallace managed to stop himself from falling by catching his feet on the edge of the wall. He grabbed the ankle of the Baker-like Girl just in time and held on as tightly as he could. Only Wallace's toes were stopping them from following the poodle down into the pit, and she was falling towards the open jaws of a hungry crocodile. It was Gromit who saved her. Armed only with a French stick, he heroically dived down, grabbing the Baker-like Girl's hat as he passed, just as Tarzan would grab a vine. Gromit knew that at some point the elastic on the hat would snap back. He wedged the French stick into the crocodile's mouth and grabbed the poodle just as the elastic reached full stretch. As it retracted, Gromit and the poodle were pulled from the crocodile's mouth and then catapulted out of the pit to safety. Wallace helped the Baker-like Girl back over the wall. "Are you all right, miss?" he fussed. "I do apologise," she purred. She fluttered her eyelashes at Wallace, and despite her increased age and waistline, he was instantly besotted. Now that's a bit of a tricky word, besotted, but it means sort of love at first sight. "It's an honour to be of help," he said. "I must get those brakes seen to," she giggled. "We're so grateful, aren't we, Fluffles?" Now if you haven't worked it out yet, Fluffles, by reading on a bit, is the little poodle. They both looked down at the little poodle, who was safely back at her mistress's side. She was shaking, which Wallace thought was quite understandable after all she'd been through. Poor little pooch. "Fluffles," repeated the lady, but it was more like a command this time. The dog jumped up and trotted over to Wallace. Unexpectedly, she leapt into his arms and began to lick his face. "Oh, it was nothing," laughed Wallace. "What a lovely little doggy. Every bit as charming as her owner," Wallace thought. Gromit looked over at the poodle in Wallace's arms. Was it just canine jealousy, or was there something strange about this dog's behaviour? He picked up the bicycle to check the brakes, but to his surprise, they seemed to be working perfectly now. Now that was odd, Gromit thought. Very odd indeed. The lady introduced herself to Wallace. "My name's Piella. Piella Bakewell," she said. "Oh," said Wallace. "I know who you are, miss." He launched into the Baker-like jingle. "Light as a feather, you're the Baker-like Girl." "That's me," said Piella brightly. "I'm Wallace," he said eagerly. "I'm inbred myself." He didn't mention that the mill was like a shrine to the Baker-like Girl. The bakery clock was in the shape of the Baker-like balloon, and its pendulum was Piella on her swing. They had a Baker-like teapot too, and even Wallace's bedding looked like a Baker-like advert. Piella's face was everywhere. "Are you still ballooning, miss?" Wallace asked innocently. Piella thought he was referring to her over-inflated size. "I do beg your pardon," she said, offended, but not trying to hide it. "Oh, no, no, no," Wallace stammered, trying to recover the situation. He felt the blood rush to his cheeks. He'd meant no offence, quite the opposite. He just wanted to keep Piella talking so he could gaze at her loveliness for a little bit longer. "I mean the Baker-like balloon," he said. "Do you still fly it?" "Oh, I see," said Piella, looking wistful. Whenever anyone reminded her of that hot air balloon, it took her back in time. It had been a magical feeling, floating silently through the sky, airy and weightless. "No, not anymore," she said flatly. They looked into one another's eyes until Wallace looked away awkwardly. The conversation was taking a turn for the worse when it had started out so well. "Well, better be going," he said, hoping the embarrassed... Oh, let's just reread that. "Well, better be going," he said, hoping the embarrassing redness had faded from his cheeks. Now, as you could see, I made a mistake there, or I got a little stuck, so I went back and checked it just to make sure I was reading the right words. "Back to the grind, as it were. Goodbye, Miss Bakewell." "Oh, Mr. Wallace," she protested, her charm suddenly returning. "I'd rather say," oh, this looks like a different language, "au revoir." Wallace brightened. He didn't understand French, but he thought this meant something about seeing one another again. "Oui, oui," Wallace responded. He didn't want to seem uncultured, but that was the only French he knew. "And bon appetit, madame." So that is the end of the chapter today. Most of the chapter there dominated by a conversation between Wallace and the Baker-like girl, who we now know her name. Obviously, Wallace has rescued her as well. There was a bit of a part for the little poodle as well, who's called Fluffles. Gromit nowhere to be seen in that chapter. Okay, well done for listening along or reading along by yourself today, or joining in with me. Hopefully, see you again for chapter 4 tomorrow.